Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Makes 12.
Hi everyone, today we're making brownie peanut butter cheesecake pops. I found this recipe in a Betty Crocker cookbook. I've modified it by only making half a recipe. So some of the measurements might be a little bit strange. Starting off with 12 ounces of cream cheese in a large bowl. The cream cheese has been brought to room temperature, so it's very soft. To that I'm adding 1/4 plus 1/8 of a cup of white sugar, and then just creaming those things together with an electric mixer. You could do this by hand as well. Adding 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter. For those of you that don't want to use the peanut butter, I suggest you read the description box below the video for suggestions on how to do that. Then blend those two things together, and then add 2 eggs, one at a time, beating between each addition, and don't forget to scrape down the sides of the bowl at least once or twice while you're mixing. You also need a brownie mix for this. I used just a boxed mix, as you can see here. It's a fairly small brownie that fits in an 8 by 8 inch pan. I just baked it according to package directions, and then I removed it from the pan and let it cool completely before using it in this recipe. Since I'm doing a half recipe, I only need half of the brownie, so that 1/2 went in the freezer for the use in another recipe some other day, and the other half I cut up into 1/2 inch cubes. And don't worry if some of the cubes aren't even or if they break up a little bit. It's not going to make a big difference in this recipe. Then place the brownie cubes into the batter and then gently stir them. I'm using a spoon that I bought while I was in Honolulu, Hawaii, visiting Beth, who is Cooking and Crafting. She actually has one of these 2-color bamboo spoons, and I've always loved it. So now I have one of my own. I bought it when I was at the Walmart there. I'm gently stirring these in. You want to be gentle because you don't want the brownie pieces to break up too much. Now the pan I'm using is an 8 by 12 inch pan. An 8 by 11, if that's all you have, will do fine. I tried to find something that was the equivalent to half of a 9 by 13 inch pan. Placing some tin foil so that you have foil hanging over the edges, and then spraying it with some vegetable cooking spray. Put the batter into the pan and then just spread it out so that it's even. And then you're going to bake this at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your oven. It took me about 40 minutes. You want to bake it until the center is set. So when you touch it, it's firm to the touch and it's not jiggly like Jell-O. Then let it cool for 30 minutes and then refrigerate for 6 hours or overnight until it is completely chilled. I let mine sit in the fridge overnight. And the reason you have the foil is that it lets you pull it out of the pan very easily. Now you need to cut it into brownie pops. And the original recipe called to make 24. So I figured if the original recipe made 24, I will cut it into 12. Then I placed them on a cookie sheet covered with a silicone mat. And then I realized that these were really big cheesecake pops. So I decided to cut them in half. And that's what I'm doing here. Now for the topping, that's 3/4 of a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips and 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. And this is heavy whipping cream, which is just regular cream, but it's 35% milk fat. That's how it's sold here in Canada. Then I put this in the microwave for about 30 to 35 seconds until it heated up. And then you just stir and stir and stir until you get a very nice, smooth, chocolatey mixture. And for decoration, I found some sprinkles. The original recipe asked for some crushed graham wafer crackers, and I also found some chocolate sprinkles that would look good on these. So you take one of your brownie cheesecake pops and just press in a popsicle stick about halfway in. I found the popsicle sticks at the dollar store, but they can also be found at craft stores as well. And then just dunk it in about halfway. It's not very runny. It's not a very runny coating, so you don't really have to let it drip off. And then you just decorate the edges with whatever topping you've chosen to put on it. And you can set it into a block of styrofoam to harden, or you can put it on a cookie sheet covered with waxed paper, or in this case, my trusty silicone mat. And these cheesecake pops actually stick quite well to the stick. As you're showing here, they don't fall off very easily at all. Now this is one of the big ones. I left a couple whole just to show you the difference in size. So you dunk it in about halfway. and then decorate. I'm using some sprinkles for this one. And if you don't want to use the stick, you don't have to. You can just dunk the end in and then decorate and then set them onto your cookie sheet. And then refrigerate them until they're firm, and you'll have to keep these refrigerated because it is cheesecake. These are wonderful. The cheesecake is nice and moist, and you've got the brownie chunks inside there. The brownie does not overbake when you bake it twice, so don't worry about that. The brownie stays nice and moist. I prefer them this way with just plain chocolate without sprinkles or candy or anything on them. There's one that I'm going to take a bite out of, and you can see the brownie pieces inside. There they are. It's a really nice treat. My family loved them, and I brought some over to my neighbor's house as well, and they really enjoyed them. So I think you should give these a try.